Hey all, Andy here, helping you build a career you love. Thanks for joining me today. We're talking cover letters. If you're here with me live, get in the chat, say hi, put some question marks in front of those questions, because if you are here with me live, we're gonna answer some of those questions at the end of the show today. So what's today all about? Let's get right into it. I got a lot to cover. Speaking of cover, who thinks cover letters are stupid? Right? I'm sure a lot of people do. That's if you think of them as an obligation and a hassle instead of an asset. So I'm going to break that all down for you. I'm going to talk with you about whether anybody actually looks at cover letters. I'm going to tell you who looks at cover letters, when they look at cover letters. I'm going to break down the obligatory ones, the thoughtful art of the possible ones, the ones that get you the most traction. We'll go through all that. I'm going to teach you what goes into all of those. I'm going to give you the templates. I'm going to teach you how to use them, who to send them to. I got a little recap grid. Got a lot of good stuff today, so get in the chat, say hi. Let me say a quick hello before we dive right in. Rob Brown, Artie Sharma, nice to see you from the other side of the planet. Ingrid, what's up? Kurt, Donna, Natalie, LM, Ian, Kara's always got my back, Brian McNeil, Kurt, Lisa, Gilles, Terry, and everybody else. Okay, cover letters. I got a little presentation for you today, and I actually do, all kidding aside, want to know, I know we all think cover letters are kind of silly and it's old school because back in the day you had to mail your resume to somebody and you needed to tell them what you were applying for or why you were sending it to them, and that has just continued on. And now that we're in the digital world and everything is email and applicant trashing systems, I know it can seem archaic, except let's not talk about the tradition of cover letters. Let's talk about how to use them for your maximum traction right now to get your resume in front of somebody so that you can actually get a job interview. So please go in the chat. Let me know what you're struggling with. So we'll look at that, and I also want to make sure, and Kara will send that to me during the session, and I'll peel up some of those big issues that you're having. And hang on, let me get that thing dialed up. All right, I'm going to switch over to actually giving you the little presentation. And I want to talk about basically when we use cover letters. So there are some general requirements. They're the obligatory. It's scratch one together, just use it, throw it on top. It probably isn't even going to be read by anybody. There's other ones that I think really create possibilities for you. We're going to talk about how to use those as it relates to targeting organizations where you're just not sure what you're reaching in about, and how do you create that opportunity for yourself and manufacture it when there wasn't any. And then there's Andy's favorite, which is the boss hunting techniques, where you're trying to get to the bullseye, because as we all know, people give people jobs, right? Systems don't give people jobs. So we're going to talk about all three of these. And I'm going to run through, like I said, kind of what goes into each of them. But before I do that, I want to talk with you about cover letters as they relate to, for me, anytime you send a cover letter, you are putting something out into the world where you are going to address someone about offering your services. There's something that you're going to be sharing about you with them, something about yourself that you're going to be giving them. And to me, in the event that there isn't a job available at that company or with that person, there's a great shift to go into networking mode. And a while back, about 3-4 years ago, I put a video out on my YouTube channel where I talked about the 7 tenets, the components that go into the perfect networking message, and I slanted it towards job search networking, of which I consider cover letters to fall into this bucket. So just so that everybody understands philosophically the main elements that I think make a great networking message and therefore make a great cover letter message, I want to recap what those points are very quickly. Okay, so the first thing that you want to mention is who you are. Seems obvious, but a lot of people muck this up. Why you chose the person you're reaching out to. Now, this assumes that you actually are sending it to an individual and not putting a cover letter or a networking message into the applicant tracking system. that I endearingly call the applicant trashing system, because that's what it does to your resumes, it seems like. But why did you choose them? And the reason that this is in red ink is one of the most powerful things about a well-written cover letter is that it is tailored to that individual. So this gives it an element of uniqueness. So why you chose them, what it is that you want, maybe it's a position, maybe you want to open a dialogue, maybe you want to inquire as to if there's anything at their organization. Anything that you're interested in understanding needs to go in the letter. The other element is you want to show them that you did a little digging, that you did some homework, that you actually aren't just spraying this to every organization and every person you can find, but there's another element of uniqueness. This is in red because this second point in red also gives it an element of uniqueness. And the more unique your message is, the better your message is, and the greater the likelihood that somebody will respond to it. Because ultimately, whenever you're sending a networking message, and even a cover letter, the first goal is to get the person to respond, because you can do something with a response. You can't do anything with silence. So this is really important. The other thing is what you offer. Could be your services, could be your skill sets, the fact that you're grateful. You want to make sure that you're thanking them, as well as being clear on what the next steps are. Now, I just wanted to introduce this very quickly because I do have a video on this on my YouTube channel. But before we roll off this slide, I want you to make sure that as you put your cover letters together, as you put your networking messages together, you're asking yourself as you read that message before you send it, whether you're embodying it as part of an email or you're attaching it in the email or a LinkedIn message or however it is you're sending it. When you look at that email or you look at that letter and you read it, just read it out loud, read it to yourself, but ask yourself, does this message look like it's the only one in existence? Meaning, have I personalized it to the extent that the language in this letter could only be appropriate for the person I'm sending it to? The first way to test whether your message of any kind, so any of you that are sellers or marketers trying to pitch your services, but any of you that are job seekers because you're selling and marketing your services, if you look at your message and that message could have been sent to one other person, that same message, as if it was boilerplate, that's a bad message. Your response rate is going to drop precipitously. And you'll know the difference because there will be something inside of it, those elements 2 and 4, that make it unique to me, the receiver. Okay, and again, just to reiterate, the title of the video that I have that you want to check out is How to Craft the Perfect Job Search Networking Message. Now, I want to talk about my, dare I say famous, 4-sentence cover letter. The only reason that I say famous is because it has lots of views, well over 1 million. Maybe 2. I don't know how many views it has on YouTube and how many downloads we've had. But a while back, I was thinking about, and when I say a while back, I mean like 7 years ago when I put this 4-sentence cover letter on YouTube, and I was thinking about cover letters are a huge hassle for people. And if I was a job seeker and I didn't know how to write a cover letter, how could I write one that was effective that also I didn't get that. That also would enable me to, satisfy the requirement if I was applying online and so on. So I came up with a 4-sentence cover letter. There's basically 3 parts to it. This is the obligatory cover letter when you just need to scratch one. You want to specify the opening that you are targeting, meaning I'm using a 4-sentence cover letter when I know there is an open position that I would like to apply for. What is that opening? What do you offer? How many years of experience? Is there an expertise? Is there an alignment between what you do as a specialist in that craft and what it is that you're applying for? You want to refer them to your resume where you show them some other stuff, and then you want to add at the bottom that you welcome the opportunity to discuss with them this particular position or any other. That's basically all you need to include in the 4-sentence cover letter. Now, I'm not going to read the 4-sentence cover letter to you because I wrote it all out for you. I put drop your stuff here, here, and here. all you need to do, Kara will put the link in the chat, or you can check the description of this YouTube video, and you can actually download the 4-sentence cover letter. But I want to talk a little bit more about the 4-sentence cover letter because it is pretty powerful. The one thing that I want you to recognize is when to use this particular skinnied down quality over quantity cover letter. It's best used when you know an open position exists and you're going to be sending it to someone and you don't know who you're sending it to. Meaning, I'm not sure who I'm actually sending this 4-sentence cover letter to. So I'm likely going to email it to a general recruitment box, or I'm attaching it in the applicant trashing system when I put my application in. So I'm attaching my resume, I'm attaching a cover letter. It says cover letter required or cover letter optional, and they want you to put it in. This is the situation where the 4-sentence cover letter is probably not even going to be read. So I don't want you burning a lot of time crafting this cover letter that's going to take you hours to write. Just take the template, drop the stuff in, and if you're applying online, which I don't recommend, but if you are, because some of you will do it nonetheless, no matter what Andy recommends, you're still going to do it. But this is the one I would use, and it's going to somebody that you're not quite sure. Now, the other reason to use this, and the reason why you want to use this, is I'm staying basically in my job function, meaning I'm an accountant. I just want to be an accountant at a different company. I'm a salesperson. I just want to be a salesperson at a different company. I'm an engineer. I just want to be an engineer at a different company. There's not a lot of frills to what it is you're doing. You're not trying to make a career change. You're not opening up a dial. You're basically just applying for a known position, and it's basically the same function that you already do. All right, the 4-sentence cover letter will absolutely work wonders for that. Now, one other thing that I get some questions on or comments on the 4-sentence cover letter video on my YouTube channel, and people say, well, Andy, it's a nice cover letter. It's kind of thin. And at the bottom you say, I would welcome, the opportunity to talk to you about this specific position or any other where you feel would be appropriate for me or where I could add value. And people say, well, you shouldn't do that because then it makes you look like you don't really know what you're looking for. To which I would say that's total and utter nonsense, because all you're saying to the person who's receiving this is that, hey, you know better than I do about your organization. There might be, number one, other areas in which I might fit. There might be openings that do not even opportunities that do not even exist yet. Maybe they're willing to trade out somebody on a team, but there's not an advertised position on another team, but they loved your profile for that. They might have upcoming positions that they have not advertised yet and want to open up the dialogue with you about whether you'd be willing to interview for that particular position. And I get emails every week, a dozen or so, not to mention the comments on the YouTube channel on that 6 or 7-year-old video that say, I'm so glad I put that in because the recruiter got back to me and said, hey, I'm so glad you mentioned this because it got me thinking there was another opportunity that's coming up. And I wanted to talk to you about that because this position is about to be filled. Right, so you just never know. So turn control over to the person who's receiving that. So I just want to call that out. Now, I do have another cover letter that I think is really important for everybody to have. I call it my no job opening cover letter. It's 7 sentences, although you can tinker around with this so that I don't have to say this every time. What I'm giving you are templates and guidance to make your own. But basically what you want to make sure that you do with these 7-sentence cover letters or the no job opening cover letter is you want to reach into organizations where you either don't know if a position exists, so there isn't necessarily an advertised one, and there is possibly multiple roles that you could fit. Maybe you don't want to pick one or the other. You can still use this no job opening cover letter, and you're sending this to the recruitment department or to HR, but you're sending it to somebody, and what you want to include is components about, hey, I want to inquire about joining your company. Remember, this is about joining a company, not joining a job. Well, number one, you join a company, you don't join a job. But you're reaching into the organization, you're not exactly sure which unit to reach into. You're reaching into the general recruitment group or general box or HR person, but you're sending them a cover letter that is completely geared toward an HR person or a recruiter, where you're inquiring with them as to if there's a possibility to work at their organization. But what's important is you want to explain, in this case, the rationale behind why you want to work at their particular organization. What does this do? Right? This creates the element of uniqueness. What can you point to that is desirable about their organization that attracted you to them specifically? Right? Again, going back to my 7 tenets, this is the one that creates that element of uniqueness. So this is a really important element for you to get in. It's, I chose your company because. Okay, and then what you offer. Okay, Eddie had a typo because he was scratching these really early this morning. But basically, what you offer, not what you offer, but WHAT, what you offer in terms of years, experience, and anything in general. And then a notable accomplishment. And you want that notable accomplishment in the letter to be in alignment with the value you're going to contribute, which should be in alignment with the goals that the company wants to accomplish for the unit you are most likely to go into. So what do I mean by that? Well, if I'm a marketer, and irrespective of the marketing function within marketing that I perform, whether I'm an analyst, a copywriter, an event planner, whatever it is, there's several different marketing functions that make up the marketing engine of most major companies. The goals of the marketing team is to increase brand awareness and then in turn generate more particular prospects that then the salespeople could talk to and meet and close and sell to. No matter who you are in the marketing team, that's going to be the goal of the marketing department. So depending on the types of positions that you've held historically, you want to make sure that you're pulling forward a highlight that is in sync with the department you are most likely to go to. Because you don't know, you're not sending this to somebody in a particular unit. You're sending this particular letter to somebody in the HR department. So I want to make sure that that's very clear. And if you would like more on this particular subject, I have a video on the YouTube channel about how to show your value to an employer so you get hired. That video is on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. I go into more detail about how you determine what it is that you put in your resume, in your cover letter, and what you say in an interview. But all of this is tied together. And then you want to point them to a spot that you want them to look on your resume for more related points about why, how and why you can add value to their organization. I welcome the opportunity to discuss with you any opportunities that you seem to think that I could add value, right? You're turning it over to the HR person or the recruiter to determine if, based on your resume, that you're a good fit. And then obviously you want to thank them. So you're going to be addressing your 7 sentences this way. And as I mentioned with the 4-sentence cover letter, I have a 7-sentence or a no job opening cover letter, I call it, because you use this when you don't know if a position exists at an organization. Now, I want to talk about the who, how, and why here. Are you guys enjoying this? If you are, can you hit the thumbs up button, please? Do me the favor, send the message to YouTube, share this with people. People need help. So, who do you want to send this to? Someone in HR, someone in the recruitment department. If they say, hey, we welcome any inquiries, please email us at careers@milewalk.com or whatever it is. You can send it there, and you want to attach this with your resume. You can also use this as the main email body as well. You do want to attach this via email. You're not usually attaching this particular cover letter in an applicant trashing system, because the applicant trashing system is when you know a position exists and you're specifying that you are interested in that particular position. This is a situation where you don't know if a position exists. You want to use this. You want to use this cover letter. And one of the best things that you can do for yourself here is the reason why you'd want to use this cover letter is if you are changing companies, much like the 4-sentence cover letter where you're only changing organizations and you're not really changing job functions, it's the same kind of thing with the no job opening cover letter. You want to be able to rely on your experience, that they are going to see that what you have is what they need, not what you have and you're trying to change to something else. Or there's multiple roles and you're not quite sure which one of the roles that you're interested. And I would go so far as to say, if you wanted to modify my template to make reference of roles such as, you could do that too. If there's multiple roles, and you can put it together in one email. But now I do want to point out here, people say, well, should I really apply to a company where there is no opening or no publicized opening is the more correct way to say that. We have run surveys as a recruitment firm for 15 straight years and asked questions related to how many people did you hire? How many positions were advertised as a result of that? Do you hire for open positions that are not publicized? What percentage of those have you hired that applied that were not associated to the position that they applied for, or blah, 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 blah. Basically, the data that we get back shows that 8 out of 10 hires were hired not with an association to a particular publicized opportunity. They could have just flown in, network referral, could have been a position that was accelerated because they got a message from somebody. There's many, many different ways. It could have been we traded out somebody on the team because this person who came in unsolicited by us was a better fit or a stronger performer or had better experience. So we took advantage of that and we swapped out somebody else. So keep this in mind. And I do want to stress the part about the rationale. It is important when you use the no job opening cover letter that you are talking about the rationale behind why you want them as an organization. And the other thing is that when I was talking about the goals that they have as a department, as a company, you want to make sure that your accomplishments, your career highlights, your bullets, and your professional work experience on your resume, and the ones you pull forward into the cover letter are in alignment with the goals of the department you are most likely to go into. Cannot stress that enough. Then the more direct approach, as I always like to say, people give people jobs. And bosses give people jobs, and this is the fastest route to interviews. It's not the only route to interviews, but it's the fastest route to interviews. So I have multiple boss hunting techniques, and if you've never seen my video that I put out years ago on boss hunting, essentially what you're doing in this case is you're doing a little detective work, you target an organization, you try to find the person who's in charge of the unit or units you could be a potential employee for, and you send this particular boss or somebody on the management team or the C-levels or whoever it is, depending on the company size, your message directly, and you address them that you would like to work with them. So what goes in here? This is about 9 to 10 or so sentences, depending on whether you're using a no job opening boss hunting letter or a position exists. So much like the 4-sentence cover letter, a job opening exists. The no job opening cover letter, the 7-sentence cover letter, you're targeting a company, but you don't know if an opening exists. When you find a boss, you may or may not know an opening exists. I give you 2 templates. I give you one if you don't know about the position or whether it exists. I give you another one if you do see a particular position, because the position might have caught your eye, then you did some detective work, and then you discovered, hey, that person might be running that unit that I'm responsible for. Heck, some organizations put the boss's name on the job description as you'll be reporting to so-and-so. So you want to reach out to them with a message that says, hey, I'm reaching out to you. I admire your background, something of adoration. Trust me, if it's sincere and you use the language I give you, the adoration works. It's also what makes it unique to this person, because you're going to make reference something about them. And then you want to be explicit, that other element of uniqueness, that I was researching and came across you as. I was researching, targeting companies, and researched and noticed you might be in charge of this group, kind of thing. Or I noticed there was an open position, and I'm assuming you might be the be in charge of this position. Something that tells them that you were doing some diligent research and discovered them. That also adds an element of uniqueness to this message. And then you want to make reference to them. You in your mind are assuming that they are the boss. These top 3 components are what really make this technique work. And you might be thinking, and I've gotten people from all different countries in the world saying, well, that sounds a little bit obsequious, or that flattery, I don't think it's going to work, only to find out that they hemmed and hawed and waited months, and once they started using the technique, even in their country, it started to work, and their job search started to click, and they started to get interviews. So don't be afraid to use this language. And then the reason I'm reaching out to you is because I want to talk to you, because there is an element of growth. A part of the adoration is that you feel like you can learn from this person. There's going to be some language in there that references that. You also want to talk about what you offer. You do, much like the no job opening cover letter, want to include a major accomplishment. That major accomplishment needs to be in complete alignment with what the boss's goals are likely to be. And this should not be too tough. If you're reaching into the chief marketing officer, you know what the goals are. The head of sales, their goal is to make more money, get more customers, generate more revenue, kind of thing, right? The product engineer needs to build the product. You understand at a high level what they're basically trying to accomplish. So you want to make sure that you've got something in your background that you can point to, and you want to pull a highlight off your resume and put it into the cover letter. Obviously, reference that you've attached the cover letter. Perhaps you want to point them to a particular spot on your resume. Again, I welcome the opportunity to talk to you about this opportunity. That's if you know an opportunity, a publicized opportunity exists, or any other, or in any capacity on your team where I can add the most value. Something of that nature. This is about what kind of dialogue could we get going to see if we're the right fit for each other. Of course, you want to thank them. Now, I do have a packet of 2 free templates. If you're in the public domain and you're using my freemiums, I give you 2 templates. If you're a member of my job search coaching program, I give you a rather thick boss hunting Bible that outlines everything, not only explains everything in the rationale and the details and gives you the 2 templates, but I give you all the responses for the 8 or 9 responses that potential bosses can come back to you with, right? Because they could say, hey, this is great, Susie. Your resume looks wonderful. I'd love to talk with you. Hey, I don't have any openings, but I'd be open to talking to you. Hey, I don't have any openings. Don't bother me anymore. Hey, you need to go through our applicant trashing system. Hey, you need to talk to the recruiter. Hey, it's not my job. It's Andy down the halls, right? Kind of thing. There's going to be several things. So if you're in the job search coaching program, I pen all this out for you as well. So make sure you grab those templates, and then who this works on and some do's and don'ts. Give it your best shot. Try to figure out who the boss is, or somebody that looks remotely close to the boss, or somebody that looks like the boss's boss. But basically, you want to try to target the person who would be your boss, that your best guess. I always mean your best guess because you don't know this for sure unless somebody says, oh, that's the boss of the team. You need to talk to her or him, right? Or somebody on the management team. Now, if you see somebody who you think is the boss and you see somebody who you think is the boss's boss, go to the boss first. Give that person a chance. If you are reaching into small organizations, you're not quite sure, maybe they don't have a ton of layers, you can go to the C levels depending on what your function is and who you are, how senior you are, and things of that nature. But basically, you want to try to target somebody who can give you a job. How to send this message? You can use the message as the body of your email. You can attach it in a PDF as well, even the same language, okay? And then attach your resume. Or you could do it via LinkedIn as well if you want. Email or LinkedIn. I generally prefer email, but it doesn't make any difference to me. I don't care how you get the message to somebody, just get the dang message to somebody. Okay, and why you want to use this? It's for changing companies when you're going to a similar position or the same position, or there's multiple roles and you're not sure which. Now, I really want to stress this here. If you are changing careers, this is an ineffective technique if you are truly changing careers, because if you are truly changing careers and you don't have the requisite skills, the boss is likely not going to want to add you to his or her team, right? They're not going to want to train you up. There needs to be some registration between what you have and what I need. So I want to call your attention to that, because I oftentimes will get career changers say, well, I'm trying a boss hunt and I'm not getting any responses. That's not the best way to go if you're truly changing careers. So a couple more notables here. Remember, this works much more effectively because companies and systems don't give people jobs, right? I've said this a couple times. People do. I find it to be the fastest route. I have evidence to support the fact. And again, I want to reiterate, your skill set's got to be a match. It does not work effectively for career changers. And it is one of my favorite ways to be able to shift. If somebody does not have an opening but responds, you can shift into a networking mode. If you're in the job search coaching program, I give you the language of how to do all that and how to shift it and what to say. If you are in the public domain, you want to make sure that you're following up with somebody who gets back to you. Ask yourself, what can I do with this right now? And go from there. Okay, so let me just recap all of this very quickly. I made a little grid here for you just so you can kind of see what I think you can use. The 4-sentence cover letter, the no job opening cover letter, the boss hunting cover letter. The who of it is the 4-sentence cover letter works well if you're sending it to somebody you don't know, a general recruitment box, or if you're attaching it in the applicant tracking system. The main goal here is for somebody who is just changing companies but has the same job function. If you're talking about the no job opening cover letter, this would go to somebody in the recruitment department or HR or a general recruitment or careers box. It's better to attach this in an email. You likely won't be attaching this in the applicant tracking system because you won't be applying through the applicant tracking system with this technique. And it's about targeting companies where you have a similar job function as well. And then the boss hunting, going to the boss and the management team, email or LinkedIn InMail, and make sure for this particular technique you have the goods that boss will need. And if you're asking me, well, Andy, if you're a career changer, you got to network your way to that boss. You got to get a reference. You got to get somebody who will vouch for you, or you're going to have to use some other tactics, of which there are several. But I just wanted to give you a quick recap of this. And so I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please crank the thumbs up button. I wanted to get this done in about 30 minutes. I think we're about there. Make sure to share this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. And if you are here with me live, we're going to the Q&A. If you're watching this on the recording or listening on the podcast, I'll see you next week. All right. Now, I do, if need be, I can refer back to evidence of the fact of why these things work. But I would love to know, I think I asked you a while back about what some of the challenges were that you were having. And while Kara is getting those to me, I want to make a couple of announcements. Kara, can you, I don't know if you posted it or pinned it in the chat, but can you please pin the pin minicamp in the chat? So starting on Tuesday, February 28th, I have a free 5-day, 12+ hour. It's gonna be more than that, I think. Job search minicamp. It's my annual greatest tips workshop. There's 5 sessions. We're covering the resume. We're covering searching itself, how to bring yourself to market, that is. We're covering job interviewing, and I'm covering salary negotiations, and then we have a recap show. I'm already meeting with people to do new case studies for you. Those are going to be included. Those are going to be really great. I did one yesterday that I absolutely loved. I've got a couple more on Monday, so these are going to be hot off the press. It's going to be a ton of fun. We do recommend you sign up. I do have a workbook for you to follow along. Kara will add that in the chat, and so you can easily register, and that's all free. That's all free. Tomorrow, I am meeting with members of my leadership coaching program that is on how to develop a business case. There's business plans, which are about creating and building your business. And there are business cases, which are about how to sell a project within your organization or to another organization. Some people call them statements of work. Some people call them business cases. There's a variety of names for them, but basically there's 16 different sections that need to be included. I'm going through every single one of them tomorrow. I'm going to introduce you to what those are. I've got a workbook written up for you so that you can more easily build your own when you need to. I have a PowerPoint template that you can use as a starting basis that's kind of shelled out for you with some cosmetics in it. So I'm delivering all that to members of my leadership coaching group tomorrow. And then what we're going to be doing over the next couple months in the leadership program is I'm going to be teaching you how to give presentations in the next round. So that's going to be coming up in March. And then April, we're going to be coming back and we're actually going to be doing some hot seats and case study presentations and things of that nature. So there's a lot coming up related to leadership and management principles, selling of projects, running of projects, things of that nature that we're going to be covering over the next 3 sessions. It's a great time to get in. I've been sending you messages about it this week and last week. If you got any questions, support@malwalk.com. And then next Thursday, I'm meeting with members of my job search coaching program. Those are premium members of what I call my boot camp. That's the job search boot camp. And that is Thursday at 11. So it's next week's live office hour slot. I'm stealing it from my premium members. That program is on sale for $200 off the interactive service package if you're interested in that. I'm happy to answer any questions related to the programs and if you have them, because we're going to go into the Q&A now. But let me start the Q&A with some questions related to cover letters. Terry, my cover letters are bland and don't spark interest, easily forgettable. That's a statement, not a question, but use the templates. Use the templates. They inherently put in what's supposed to be there. Word Dog, what's up? I am struggling with deciding what to include in my cover letter to make sure the reader then opens and reads my attached resume. Okay, here's what happens. When you email a boss or a recruiter, okay, and this is the email part. Number one, take the cover letter, take the content of the cover letter, that the templates that I give you, that you make your own, and make that the body of the email, okay? And then attach your resume and attach the cover letter. I know, it's the same language. Do it anyway. Because here's what they do. They open their email, they look at the email, which now they're reading the cover letter. Then they go to the resume first, they click that, they open it, they look at that really fast. Then they say, Word Dog is somebody I want to talk to, or not. Then don't worry about, right? They're not going to the attached cover letter. So that's actually what happens. Again, much like I said to Terry, use the templates. Baby girl, what's up, Cherry? I struggle putting words into paragraphs and what to say in the cover letter. Use the templates. Jenny, I'm struggling with identifying what is the value to show in highlighting the cover letter. What I know how to show my value in the resume. Jenny, the video on how to show your value to employers so you get hired is the video you want. It's exactly what you want. Susan Williamson, you're not a boot camper. You're wondering what it is. So I have this program. It is my full-blown, it's now called the Job Search Coaching Program because it is a fully online, video-based, soup to nuts, everything you can imagine and way more on what you need to run a successful job search and find your dream job. I used to run it boot camp style 4 times a year. I'd do all the teaching live every single quarter. And so it was done boot camp style over 5 sessions. I've since altered the way I deliver the program. It's now perpetually available, and it's all at your own pace. You get everything at once. And I have ongoing monthly sessions with members of the program that are in the interactive service package, so the interactive coaching. They get online support so they can ask me their questions, and they get to come to the group, the private group coaching sessions. We do about 24 of those a year. Actually, we've done like 30, 36 a few of the years running. This year will probably be about 24, so we do anywhere from 1 to 4 a month, depending on what the month is and what we have going in the way of other workshops and things of that nature. So if you're interested, Kara can drop it in the chat, and it's on. We have a self-study where you just buy the program and you don't get to interact in the group setting or the online support. That's the least expensive, and that's $697. And then the middle pack is normally $1,000, but it's a couple of $100 off now, so it's $797. You get everything, plus for the extra $100, you get lifetime access to online support and group coaching sessions. And we have a number of the boot campers who've gotten multiple jobs with it. So, you know, somebody got their job in 2017 or somebody got their job in 2019 before the pandemic. This boot camp has been running since 2017. So we're now in effectively the 6th year of it. So it's really been enhanced. You get a bunch of, you basically get everything you could possibly imagine. And then I do have a VIP pack. And I do offer those members individual coaching sessions at a discounted rate. That's an additional service. And I'm willing to do resume reviews also as an additional service. So I hope that helps there. And it is, like I said, it's on sale through March 7th. Artie Sharma is a boot camper who I know from Dubai, I think it is. How long should we wait if the mail is not seen? When should we send the mail to one down or HR if there's no response? Here's what I like to do. I'm a big proponent of being consistent each day. And if you're not familiar, I've been teaching my now registered job search challenge technique for many years, where you're consistently targeting organizations, targeting people within those organizations, and sending messages, not much unlike the ones I was talking about through the cover letters, each day. And if you do 3 a day, day in and day out, and that was just 15 a week, right? In 2 weeks, that's 30. In a month, right? That's 60. And so I'm not overly concerned about following up with people who aren't getting back to me. However, I realize that there may be some organizations you really want to get into or somebody that you really want to talk to. So what I generally would do is send them a message, give them a week or 10 days, and send them another message. And if they don't get back to you in the next week, then send it to HR or the boss or whoever. And you might say, well, Andy, that's 2-3 weeks. And I'd say, Artie and anybody else, why would you care? That's 60 people ago, right? It's all about the balls in the air. I call them bidas, right? And keeping them moving and keeping your what? Your job search pipeline moving, where you're constantly prospecting. And so that's what I do. Use your judgment, but sending somebody a message who doesn't get back to you and then sending it again and again and again is yes, somebody will be busy, and yes, somebody will get back to you, but that level of pestiness, and not to mention the amount of time you're wasting trying to chase people that aren't getting back to you, your time is better off continually reaching out, and as I say, feed the funnel, right? Actually, I have not shown this. I think I got it. Where is it? So I haven't pulled this one out in a while. If you don't know what this is the beautiful marketing machine thing I think I drew in 2018, and I still have it handy. And this is basically your job search. Resume sendouts is like doing what we were talking about today. Mailing, not applying online, mailing out your resume, emailing that is, no job opening cover letter, boss hunting cover letter, sending networking messages. 9 out of 10 of your job search hours should be spent at the top of the funnel sending stuff out. 1% should be in exchanges, meaning they get back to you, you get back to them and say, okay, that'd be great to talk. Let's talk Tuesday at 10 o'clock. That's an exchange. An exchange is, hey, we're going to have you interview and come in. Great. Where do I need to be? Where's the Zoom link? Where's the whatever? That's an exchange. But what a lot of you do is you send a message out and then you spend a ton of time in exchanges where you're doing a one-person exchange. Follow up. Hey, I'd still like to talk. Ping, whatever you're saying in your messages to these people. You're wasting a lot of time in here and you're agonizing over people who aren't getting back to you, burning up mental energy. And then you got interviews. Well, if you get an interview on the line, yes, then spend some time prepping. But you should be spending less than 10% of your time actually doing interviews and 90% of your time continuing to send stuff out, feeding the funnel, the marketing funnel, until you get a job that you love. So make sure these percentages are in order, but a lot of them are disproportionate. You're spending a lot of time in this midsection down here. Don't do that. Richard, hey, from Kentucky. One of my buddies just moved to Kentucky. Question, cover letters are an extension of the resume. Well, I don't know that I necessarily use an extension of. A cover letter is dialogue that you're trying to have about getting somebody to look at your resume and invite you in for an interview. And you're going to take something from your resume or a collection of things from your resume and dump them in the cover letter. So I guess by that standard, yes, maybe it is. Let's see, different Richard. My boot camper Richard. From a British point of view, I'm not convinced that flattery works. What alternative wording can we use? Okay, Kara, is there any way you can find the picture of all the Europeans who said the same thing and then told me how in 8 minutes they got responses back? Is there any way you can do that? Because that's what I would like to say to Richard. And Richard, we had a European say the exact same thing you did. And then I said to him, this is when we were managing the Facebook group where we were going back and forth, and he said, it doesn't work like that in Europe. I said, I'll tell you what, this went on months he spent agonizing, not doing it because he didn't believe it worked. The first one he sent, I cannot make it because I couldn't make this up. First one he sent, he went back into the Facebook group and he said, okay, so I tried this and in 8 minutes the boss got back to me and I now have an interview. And I responded to him and said, okay, so let me get this straight. For months you resisted, wouldn't believe me, and wouldn't even try this. And the first one that you tried, somebody got back to you in 8 minutes and you have a job interview. Is that correct? And he said yes. So that's how I'm answering that. Rita, I'm making a career change. I want to apply to my wish company. Should I call out my transferable skills in my cover letter? Okay, so obviously I'm not going to show that I'm qualified enough. Thank you, Annie Care. Okay, Rita. So you have a unique job in an organization, except that the skill sets you have are very transferable to other types of positions in other organizations. I know that because I know you. So when you say you're making a career change, if you're telling me that you're going to go and be, an extension of what you were at the previous organization, right, at IBM, or I think it was IBM, right, there are so many elements of what you do that overlap to what it is you likely are targeting. And if that's the case, I wouldn't necessarily say you're making a career change. I'm trying to make sure that you are not making a left turn and doing something wholly different. Are you making a what I would consider to be more of a slight pivot into a different function type that takes advantage of the same skill sets that you have, but is called something different in a different organization? I think that's what you're doing, what I just said. And if that's the case, my answer to you is yes. And I also think I would be very aggressive in targeting those types of positions in those other consultancies or software companies that have a similar function, but might be called something different than what you did at IBM. That's my view there. Ian, How does one write cover letters for applications to multiple roles with one target company over a long period of time and avoid seeming contradictory? Okay, so let me, if I understand this correctly, you are trying to get into an organization, and 1,000 days is 3 years. Okay, so I would not be worried about seeming contradictory, but I would be targeting. So first up, I would not be applying to this company again and again and again. It's just a waste of time. I would be targeting bosses in the company. And what you're trying to do is show the value that you could add to that boss's group. Now, I'm going to say, for sake of argument, that if the roles that you're shooting for are somewhat closely related, because if the roles you are shooting for are very, very wide and different, then I would question your targeting strategy, because you shouldn't be targeting, marketing and engineering. Like, those are wholly different things. But if it's well, I'm looking for a position as a sales engineer, and then I'm looking at a position as a product engineer or development engineer, you have to know the same stuff. One just supports this group and one focuses on this group. So if that's the case, you're targeting the bosses in those areas. And I would not. The only way you sound like crazy is if you're applying for marketing and then you're applying for engineering and you're trying to accounting, or you're doing something wholly different where you don't really have the requisite skills. Scotty R. I've been personalizing the boss hunting cover letter, been getting some responses. One said there would be VP openings in his department in 3 to 6 months, sent the follow-up email, and he reviewed on LinkedIn. Another one wanted to have a Zoom meeting Friday. Awesome. All right, wait, let's go back. You know what? I didn't necessarily want to go through this in the main package. Let me show you something. Okay. Jan. See Jan here? CEO returned the email in less than an hour on a Saturday. That's a European. Lexi's in the US. Rachel's in Europe. Okay, Rachel's in Europe, Central Europe. Hi, Andy. I just sent 3 boss hunting letters today for target companies that I drafted for last week because as I mentioned, I wanted to network with people here in Germany. 3 messages were sent today and 2 responses on the same day. Isn't that crazy? She and I had a conversation, what would have been 3 p.m. her time in Germany. It was early in the morning for me. I said, send these messages when you and I get done. She sent them and had 2 responses back that day. So, she's in Germany. You want to see somebody else who's in Germany or was in Switzerland? This is Max. Job search challenge rocks. My stats for January: 1 month, 30 emails, 19 responses. That's 30 boss hunting messages he sent. Okay, so for anybody who's telling me it doesn't work where I live, I've got evidence on every continent across different countries that it does. So I mean, you've got to be willing to give it a shot. What's the worst thing that can happen? You don't hear back at all? That's the worst thing that can happen, because then you have no data. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, let's see. Kara, where would I be in the chat for questions? Let me take Jason DeBelka, because I just sort of came to that one. I don't know if I'm in the right spot. Can you use a memo format for a cover letter versus name, company, address? The address component seems outdated. Jason, do whatever you want. I'm more concerned about the body. Gilles, the templates are in the boot camp already. You want to go into the marketing section, module 2. And when you also watch the boss hunting video in module 3, the boss hunting Bible will be in both spots as well as all the other cover letters. Brian, had an interview with the senior director. He asked me what are my development needs per my recent managers on my performance reviews. What is the best way to answer that one? You go into an area that you've not yet had the opportunity to experience, and you just say, my bosses, the developmental items that my bosses and I identified for me were these. And you make it something that is not a requirement for the new job. So it is a total omission. You have not had an opportunity to do it yet, and it is not required. There is absolutely no reason for you to stick your foot in your mouth and give the interviewer anything that they can hold against you in that case. It's a terrible question. It's a terrible question on the interviewer's part. Ingrid, a job agency recruiter contacted me for a contract job position at another company. Can you negotiate the hourly salary? Yes, before and after the agreement. Well, it's better for you to not sign anything until they get the right rate on the agreement. When you are negotiating as part of through an agency, okay? When you're negotiating through an agency where you've got a staffing firm who's going to be placing you at a client, you agree with the staffing firm what it is that you're gonna get paid before they put the contract together. So don't have them draft the contract with a number, because they're dealing with the company that you're going to be working for. Hold on. Now, I want you to tell everybody that you are sorry for making Daddy get up. Go ahead. Tell him you're sorry, Starla. Go ahead. This is Starla. This is Rocket. And they were so good for 54 minutes. Right? Okay. Thank you. Let's be quiet. Okay. That would have not stopped, and I would not be able to concentrate. So I had 4 dogs that were so quiet, and then the male dude was dropping something off on the front porch, and they saw him. Okay. Kara, where was I? Let me get back to, thank you for your patience at the LaCivita kennel. By the way, if you want to drop your dog off here, I'm running a kennel service. Right. Okay. Pamela Moore. Oh, wait, Ingrid. If there's no response from the agency, can one contact directly to the company? These are touchy situations because some organizations will only take on contractors or temporary employees through verified or partners or vendors who are on their vendor list. Some have a little more freedom, but I would go back to the agency. I would try to get them to respond. If they don't respond, then go directly to the company and see what happens. The worst thing to say is no. Pamela Moore, how do I convey that I'm not looking for a position at the same level as my most recent position? I'm trying to shift to the nonprofit sector from my for-profit history. I know that I don't have to take a lower level position, but it's what I want at this point, even if I stay with a for-profit company. I'm not sure I understand this exactly, but what I would say to you is, just looking at the first part of your question, you do not need to convey when you say, how do I convey that I'm not looking for a position at the same level? You reach in and get the dialogue going, You talk about what it is that you want. You figure out where that is level-wise. And if I'm wondering if you don't want a same level because you want to reduce your responsibilities. I would not be talking about that in an interview, meaning I would not be saying I'm open to a more junior role because I want to reduce my stress or my this or that, because then that's code for, you may as well ask them what the work-life balance is like. They're gonna get skittish because they're gonna be concerned you don't want to work as hard or you want to loaf. I'm not saying that you do. I'm just saying that this is how that can be misconstrued. I would just go in there, target the types of positions that you're interested in. If they say, well, you're a senior director, I'm a little concerned this is a lower level. Say, no, look, I'm interested in getting into your organization. Go on with the whole how you're overqualified tactics that I've taught you. That's the way I would approach that. Artie, what if your why you chose them reason is associated more with the company than the specific person? If you're talking about the boss hunting, you say, I'm targeting company. I was drawn to your company because I noticed that you must be managing. If you don't want to make any association for the individual, you can avoid it. If you can, you can omit it if you want to. I just think when you say, and I noticed your background, I really liked how, or something like that, trust me, the sweetening works. It really does. It really does. Figure out some way. I love you have an impressive background for working for all those blue chip companies. Just figure something out to say. TD Washington, I've seen quite a few state government jobs asking for cover letters. I think it's because the state application is so standardized and every applicant looks the same. I wouldn't say every applicant looks the same necessarily, but I would say that okay. Starla? Starla, come here. Starla. Oh. Well, I see this experiment is over. We've had enough of this with the dachshunds. They're gonna keep barking. Let me see. Come here. Okay, let's see. You want to answer Artie's question? Say, hi, my name's Rocket. I'm the fastest 9.4-pound thing you've ever seen. I know, buddy. Let's see. Artie Sharma, as you mentioned, if you send open threads, no job opening cover letter, does it have fewer chances of getting a response? The boss hunting technique has the best chance. When you go with the no job opening, now, mind you, so hold on. The boss hunting has a no job opening combo, okay? And so that's great too. But the no job opening is used for if you cannot find the boss and you're not sure what to do and you reach into HR, you still have a good probability of getting a response, except that it drops because, remember, the reason boss hunting works so well is because the boss is always looking for talent for his or her team. The HR people and the recruiters may or may not be as open-minded about getting that boss a person if there isn't an existing opening, because the recruiter is likely, or the HR person is likely supporting a number of different groups. Meaning, I'm looking for 3 people for that sales team, 2 people for the accounting team, 2 people for the engineering team. And if you're reaching in for something else and there's not an open position over there, even though you have a nice background, do you have the hiccups, buddy? Then that's not a priority for them. So those are the risks that you run. Okay, you want to go down there? Try to get in there. There you go. Try not to bark. So that's just a risk you run. Oh man, confused. Are you suggesting we attach a PDF of the body of our email and not just the email alone when sending any of the outbound emails? What's the benefit? So here's what happens. Sometimes, depending on the applicant tracking system that they're using, well, number one, it's nice to have the file should the file need to be imported. And what'll often happen is that boss will likely forward your information to the recruitment department. The recruitment department will likely have some automation that imports all the stuff. So I always tell people, attach the cover letter, attach the resume, so all that stuff gets in on your file. So like when we were recruiting, we had a system where if you emailed me, and you emailed me directly, I could hit a button on my Outlook email and it took all your documents and classified them in the proper spots. So for me, I just think it's why not include it? If you don't want to include an attached cover letter, you don't have to. You can just include your resume if you want. That doesn't make any difference to me. There's no reason why you can't attach it, so I recommend attaching it. Alex Teros, what is the definition of a career changer? If I go from a financial assistant to an accountant, is that a career change? Not really. So when you are changing careers, it's making a wholesale adjustment. I was an IT and consulting professional and became a recruiter. Two wholly different functions. That's a career change. So it isn't a big deal to make what in your case is growing along the same track, right? I consider finance, accounting, all of that stuff you're in the same swim lane. You might be varying the positions that you take, or you might be becoming elevated, or you might be becoming more specialized. To me, that's not really a career change. And by the way, it isn't even about getting hung up on whether it is or it isn't, or whether you agree or you don't. It's just, to me, when I say career change, I truly mean you are changing complete career tracks. Lisa Williams, how can I construct the email subject line when I send cover letter to the boss so as to grab their attention? You don't need to grab their attention in the subject line. I have a video out there. If you go to Google and you type LaCivita subject line, it will take you right to the video that tells you what to include in the subject line, or some variations of what you can include in the subject line. The most important thing about sending a boss hunting email is not the subject line. It's making sure you're not sending it from an email address that looks like a corporate email. Why? Because the boss will think you're trying to sell him something. So you don't send it from, Lisa at lisawilliamsexecutive.com or something like that. You send it from lisa at yahoo.com, lisa at gmail.com. So the subject line could be interested in working on your team, or interested in supporting your group, or interested in working with you, or something like that. Don't be overly concerned about what the subject line is. They are not getting loads and loads of emails where you need to look different than anybody. Their inbox is not filled with emails like this. Because I send you emails every Tuesday, every Thursday, and then there's some weeks where I'm sending them to you every day, and some weeks I'm only sending them to you twice or three times. I have to be very, very mindful of the subject line, because I have to make sure that, number one, it's connecting with you, it's intriguing enough, I'm consistent between what the subject line says and what's inside the email, right? For the congruency, I don't ever want you to say, Andy's lying to me and he made me open that and he didn't deliver on his promise. We obsess over stuff like that. You don't need to. You don't need to. It's a one of a kind. Kent, is it appropriate to send these letters directly to the corporate recruiter via LinkedIn? I would not. If you know who the corporate recruiter is and you can find them on LinkedIn, you can get their email address, and I would send it directly to their email inbox. That's the way I would go. Wait, I mean, you can do anything you want. Anything that gets a response, that's all I care about. But I'm about probability and odds, and I also think that there's a great element of tracking. If you're sending something to a corporate recruiter, I can almost because I won't say 100%, almost guarantee that that recruiter's email is hooked to the applicant tracking system, which is where they need to house that stuff. And so if you send them an email directly, it's going to be imported, if not automatically, definitely at some point they'll manually do it, meaning like click the button to say, oh, okay, Kent sent this to me. Let's create a profile for him and get all his stuff in order. And your email will be in there, your attachments will be in there, they'll label them, this is the resume, this is the cover letter, and so on. JJ, Andrew, I just wanted to say you influenced the way I thought about the interview process. Love it. Even if I don't land a job, almost have lead them to being added to my personal network, which is great, which is absolutely great. And I'm so I love hearing that stuff. I really do. Hey, can I get a thumbs up for sticking with it, even though my dogs bark crazily, and I didn't just click the camera off? How about that? Can I get the gratuitous thumbs up for that? Susan Williamson, put the time off in resume or cover letter. Okay, so I don't know what the time off was. Are you searching for a job for 6 months and you just haven't found one? There's no time off. You're looking for your job. Did you take 3 years off in the middle of your career to care for family or to travel or to take care of elderly parents or whatever? Then you can indicate in your career profile that what that gap was. But it's hard to say. Then in the cover letter, it depends what it is. So let's say you're off for 5 years and you are now going back to the workforce. In the cover letter, you could say, I recently was home taking care of my family and I'm now returning to the workforce. I mean, you could say that. You could clarify that if you'd like. I was researching companies and I know, and who blah, blah, blah. I came across your organization and noticed you might be managing and so on, and then go from there. Dana, for the attached cover letter, should it be formal with the company name and address? I make them that way. You don't have to. You don't have to. And when I see bosses I want to work for, intimidation sets in, imposter appears. Why is that? I have no idea. I really don't. I can tell you how to eradicate the imposter syndrome is that you need to change the way you think by doing differently rather than thinking differently. You can't change your thoughts by thinking differently. It's true because if you're just trying to think your way into a new thought pattern, you'll still have the imposter syndrome because you still won't believe it. Why? Because you have not seen evidence of the fact that you're a total badass, right? You can't just say, I'm a badass, I'm a badass, I'm a badass, right? That doesn't change. Like the mantras don't work if you don't have evidence to believe that the mantras work. Do you guys get this? Who's tracking with me? You cannot just, when somebody says you just can't think that way, that's a dumb way to think. It's a dumb piece of advice. No, how you think differently is by you getting mechanically into a different pattern that shows you that you are worthy in this case. So, what is it that I do that inherently should help you remove the imposter syndrome? Here's how you do it. 3 a day, 3 a day, 3 a day, Ian. Because why? Because what's going to happen is, number one, it's shut up and put in the reps. You put the reps in. Then what happens? Then you look at, okay, I accomplished. What data did I get? You evaluate, you're analyzing, you're still controlling, and what's going to start happening is people are going to get back to you. And all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing the results that are going to change the way you think about yourself. Your worth is going to go up because you did your way into actually getting results that showed you that what you thought was not true. Okay? You follow me? Right? I mean, this is... If you want more on this, go to how to start your job search in the right place. I talk a little bit more about this, and I have a number of videos scattered throughout YouTube land and in the leadership program that address this. But you're building a new habit, and a new habit is built by doing. The thinking is a habit. Mads, Jensen, great question. Attachments in doc or PDF format. Here is generally what I think is a good sound approach. When you're putting something into a system, an applicant tracking system, put the Word document. Seems to digest it a little better. If you're sending something via email or LinkedIn as an attachment, make it a PDF because people feel safer with PDFs and it's more likely to be opened. That's what I would do. Email, does the email body replace the cover? You could duplicate it. It's okay. I know it sounds silly, but it's okay. Hiking travel memories. If there are job postings showing up in my LinkedIn feed from a second degree, do you reach out to the manager or person who posted it first or quietly apply to the job on their website? What's a good approach? I always feel the best approach is through networking. If a second degree posted something, I would look at who's my first degree conduit to that second degree. I would probably go, bump, bump, can you get me an intro to so-and-so? And that's the route I would take. And I'm all about best maneuvers. I'm not about speed. And you might say, well, Andy, I need to find a job fast. And I'm telling you, it's better for you to take a week and try to get to your first degree, to get to your second degree, to get to whoever, or maybe the second degree is the boss, than it is you rushing in, wasting a whole bunch of time trying to put your resume into the applicant trashing system where you're not going to get a whole lot of anything. And then you're going to what? Then you're going to start the steps you should have taken immediately. You're going to start them later, which is going to elongate the amount of time. And if you adhere to my job search challenge, which is being consistent and sending out 3 messages a day to help you get toward 3 target companies. If you're not sure about what the job search challenge is, I have a free version on my YouTube channel. It's about 30 minutes, or I have a whole 7-module course that you can enroll in. Or if you're in the job search coaching program, we give you the job search challenge for free. But that's the way I would do it. I would always go based on strength of relationship. Andrea, hi Andrea, the core competencies on my resume, should I list technical skills, soft skills, or both? So it's none of that. This is the way I would look at it. Core competencies are business functions. They are not soft skills. They are specific business functions that you know. Accounting, engineering, or whatever, project management, forecasting, budgeting, and so on. Those are not soft skills, those are business functions. And then the technical skills, yes to that part, but I wouldn't list all my technical skills. I would only list the most important, most in alignment, most necessary skill sets that make you appear stronger, because you could put a list at the bottom of your resume, technical skills, and list out all your technical skills down there if you want. And soft skills, in my opinion, have no place on the resume, with the exception of if you see a job description that you love and you either want to boss hunt or you want to, heaven forbid, go in the applicant trashing system. And it says we're looking for a self-starter with strong communication skills. That's a great leader. Soft, soft, soft. Then you want to put evidence of the fact as to why that is. So if it does find its way into your resume somewhere, it can't be hanging out on an island on its own where you say I'm a strong leader and I have strong communication skills. I don't, that's just taking up space on the resume. So think about that. Let me see how we doing on time here. Let me try to get, you know what? I got to get running here, folks. But wait, couple things really quick. Business case session tomorrow in the leadership program. That's 11 a.m. or you get the replay if you're a member of the leadership program by tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Time. Next Thursday, I'm with my members of my job search coaching program. So I'm off. Live office hours is off next week. The following week, though, I'm with you 4 days, Tuesday through Friday, for the job search mini camp. Make sure you're registered. I'm with you the following Monday at 5 o'clock in the evening, my time. And then on Tuesday, March 7th, I have a private coaching session again for members of my job search coaching program, where we're going to be doing some case studies, some hot seats, some stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for the patience with the dogs, who I'm now going to have a talking to. And you know, they really are good. They're young. You know, they're still young. So I'm trying to give him more freedom, but sometimes you got to reel him in. All right. Love y'all. Be good. We'll see you very soon.